Here he is, Rick Davis.
Hi, Jeremy. Baruch, thank
Hello,
you for having
hello.
me on with the show tonight.
Thank
Thank
you
you for
so much
joining
for
us.
joining. Yes.
And not only that, I'll also say thank you for being a one of our viewers, one of the members of our community. I mean, this is not in the official bio, but for those who don't know, Rick is here almost every single week watching the live show, commenting, participating, but he also joins us on Thursdays in the clubhouse to contribute there, and he's got some of the world's greatest insights. And not only that, this is another thing. Rick has consistently brought people to the live show and to the clubhouse. I think we have 2 people there now that are because of you, Rick, something like that. So it's just like the fact that like we've gotten when Yurmi and I set out to do this, to create this, it was for the sake of community. And you are the prime example of the success of it, so to speak, and what you've been able to do. So thank you so much for being a participant and now for being a contributor as well. So we really appreciate that.
Well, thank you.
Of course. Well, let's get into the official bio so everybody gets to know who you are, and then I'll ask you some questions to kind of get things started. So our guest today is Rick Davis. He is the president of Impactus, Cultivating Today's Leaders. He's the author of The Furnace of Leadership Development, a member of the Maxwell Leadership Team, and a retired battalion chief from the Loveland Fire Rescue Authority in Colorado. He served as a firefighter for 37 years and with Loveland Fire for 30 years. Originally from New Jersey, Rick is a veteran of both the United States Air Force and the United States Marine Corps. I had no idea about that you did those both. I mean, I knew that you had military experience. I didn't know you did both. I'm not sure how they allowed you to do that because from what I hear, there's some internal conflict between the two, competition. But I guess that's, that leads into the next question of tell us more about who you are, what you do, and then how you got there. And then we'll dive into the kind of the guided section of the show.
Okay. Well, I'll start out by addressing the 2 branches of the military. Yes, you can, change branches of the military after you've served in one and you decide you want to go to another one. I started with the Air Force first and then went to the Marine Corps. A lot of people have done it the other way around. So I always get some raised eyebrows like, oh, you went from the Air Force to the Marine Corps. Oh, okay. So you mentioned, as you said here at the beginning of the show, I'm originally from New Jersey and in Colorado now. So a funny sidelight to that is very often I'm posed questions at the networking event. Hey, how did you get from Jersey to Colorado? I says, it's the witness protection program. How else? And just this year, I've had 2 people say, wow, really? I'm like, no, if that was true, I wouldn't be admitting that, But, I started out very young with the fire service. I had my first ride in a fire engine when I was 3 years old.
Wow.
And my dad and my Uncle Kent had been volunteer firefighters in a department in southern New Jersey. And when I was 4, there was a large fire down in a small town along the Delaware Bay. And, as the trucks kept coming by, my dad would take me out to the street. And after that, he gave me his badge from when he'd been a volunteer. And
Wow.
I still have that, here in a shadow box in my house. My Aunt Phyllis and Uncle Cliff lived next door, and she worked with a gentleman that was known as Frenchie at the International Farmall dealership in town. Because I grew up in southern New Jersey. It's the part of the state, that earned the name the Garden State. And,
wow.
There are a lot of people, think it's like Newark and Jersey City, places like that, and it's not. But Frenchie would send catalogs home with Aunt Phyllis, and she'd give them to me, fire department catalogs, and he'd make it possible for me to come down to the firehouse on drill nights, get up on the trucks and stuff like that. Wow. And so I just had this really burning desire, to be a firefighter. My dad had a bad heart. And unfortunately, when he was 41, he died of his 5th heart attack. I'm the one that found him. When I came home from school, we didn't have 911 then. You still dialed 0. Our fire company in town didn't have an ambulance. So he came from the one next to us. And when they were loading my dad's body in the back of the ambulance, I said, I'm going to do this for a career.
Wow.
And that was also, 1972 was when NBC released a television show, Emergency. Station 51, Johnny and Roy in Los Angeles County. And I watched that show every Saturday night. And also, I think it was the following year, 1973, a gentleman, a firefighter with FDNY, Dennis Smith. He was running with Engine Company 82 in the South Bronx. He wrote a book called Report from Engine Company 82. And when I read that book, it's like, yeah, this is what I want to do.
Wow.
For me, I joined the fire company there in Cedarville, New Jersey when I was 18. I had been hanging around the firehouse about 6 months after my dad died. And eventually they started letting me clean hose, sweep the floors and stuff like that, in which, for me, that was a big thrill. And so the easiest way I felt for, me to become a paid firefighter was the military route. And so, I enlisted in the Air Force, didn't get in the fire department at first. And that's a whole different story, there. And I actually talk about it, in my book, The Furnace of Leadership Development. And they were going to send me back to my original career field. So I said no. And I became a civilian firefighter for the Air Force. Decided that I wanted to go to college. And I wasn't bright enough to figure out that, hey, I could go to college and still be a firefighter working a 24-hour shift at the same time. So I resigned, ran out of money. And that's how I wound up in the Marine Corps. Hey,
Love it.
We either go to the Marines or the French Foreign Legion,
Wow.
Can't speak French, so I went to the Marines. As a firefighter. And then lo and behold, one day comes along and this gunnery sergeant comes along, says there's too many NCOs and crash crew, Davis, pick a job. Gave me the MOS is military occupational specialty. Gave me the MOS manual and a dream sheet. Go to the dream sheet because you're dreaming if you think you're going to get what you actually want.
Wow.
And so he sat there in that little room smoking a cigarette and drinking a cup of coffee. He kept looking at his watch. Hurry up, hurry up. I was like, hurry up, this is my future here. So I had 3 jobs, didn't get any one of them.
Wow.
They put me where they want me. It was aviation operations. I wound up back in North Carolina at Marine Air Station, Cherry Point, North Carolina. It was while I was there that friends of mine here in Colorado, I had been going to a church in Englewood, which is a suburb of Denver. He had gone to college with who became my future father-in-law, and they thought, oh, Rick and Deb, they would be good together. Well, September would be 35 years.
Wow.
We've been married 35 years, and we have 2. Thank you. We have 2 daughters, Rebecca and Emily. Rebecca's married to Nick. He's a career Air Force man, and Emily's married to Andrew, who's a hard worker in construction, and my daughter Emily, she also has her own business. She does freelance marketing part-time, and she also makes cake pops.
Nice.
Which I have a role in her company. She's titled me as the chief taste tester.
Oh,
yeah,
that's the best position.
Like that one.
So Deb and I, like I said, we've been married coming up on 35 years, and she's been a fantastic, supportive wife. Like Jeremy, listening to your story about you and your wife, and what people told you is like, hey, you will never find what you want. I was told the same thing. And it's like, well, that's not true because, God gave me the woman that I needed and that I wanted. And so, as I mentioned, total 37 years in the fire service, 30 of them here in Loveland, worked my way up through the ranks. And my last 15 were as a battalion chief. I did have a short stint in there as the training chief, but the bulk of my time was as a shift commander.
Wow.
Because Loveland still, we protect 200 square miles in our area, and we still have 1 battalion chief to cover all of that. Hence why the battalion chief here is also the shift commander. But that's what I loved doing. And then when I retired, switched over, I had written the book, which came out in November of 2019, started the business and packed this in June of 19. And so there was really a natural transition from what I was doing as a battalion chief, visiting the fire stations, not only sharing information with official information, but conversations so many times, would revolve around leadership and, of course, personnel issues. And you know what? When you're in a firehouse with people for 24 hours a day, and they go as a group, we go as a group. Yeah, it presents some unique challenges. And then in 2019, we went to a 48-hour shift. So now you've got people in the building for 48 hours, and it really presents some unique challenges, that you don't find in other professions. So, by and large, that's it all in a nutshell.
Incredible.
How I got to where I'm at right now.